Welcome to the Wolverine Digest podcast, the best spot for objective and authentic coverage of Michigan athletics. If you want open dialogue, honest opinions, and in-depth coverage of the maize and blue, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's your host, Brandon Brown, joined as always by Chris Breiler.
I was going to start by saying go blue.
Chris, do we need to get a Broncos? Yeah. Let's ride. We need to get that drop? We need to get that drop.
For God's sakes, please no. I can't.
Wow. On a Sunday. That's right, Brady Gallagher.
Sunday.
So here's the deal. Luckily, Chris has been locked in because yesterday was Friday was my son's actual birthday. Yesterday was his birthday party. So I've been a little out of the loop over the last couple of days. And I didn't really know if anything was going to happen. I'm like, all right, maybe a transfer, this, that. And now, though, news has really picked up over the last 48 hours. And again, luckily, Chris has been locked in over there. He hit me up this morning like, dude, we need to go live. We need to get out there. We need
too much happening. There's too much happening.
There's a lot. There's a lot going on. And, it seems to be all legitimate. It seems to be pretty big. It seems to be official at this point. And so we're going to get into all of it. I mean, we've got a pretty it's not a long bullet list of points, but it's got some big bullets on it to where it's going to take us a while to get through each one. I don't know how long the show is going to be. Chris, we didn't really talk about that, but I guess we'll just go. We don't need to go anymore, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. It's an impromptu show, but like I was telling Brandon, you're kind of you're plugged into what's going on. You're looking at the news. You're seeing, the things. Harbaugh releases a statement on Friday. Then the NCAA stuff starts to pick up a little bit of steam in terms of the violations that are there, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And then you get this stuff again with the Denver Broncos, and I know that Sean Payton is in the mix, but I think the overall point remains the same. A lot of what we talked about last week, Wednesday on the show, is still valid, and so to me, it's like, every single day it's changing and it's evolving, and it just felt like this was a good time. You had Andrew Anthony hop in the portal as soon as we hopped off the podcast. That's probably where we're going to start, but a lot has happened since we were on Wednesday, so it felt like a good time to get on and sort of chop it up.
There you go. And we said we would do this. I mean, we're scaling back from our 3 or 5 shows a week pace, but this, you can't ignore this stuff. I mean, we've been putting stories out on it, and it seems to be picking up more and more smoke as the NFL season is getting ready to wrap up, which will be today. The Lions and the Packers will close out the NFL season tonight, so that's kind of cool. But anyway, let's start with Andrell, Chris. It's not we're not going to need to spend a ton of time on it. I know.
I mean,
I was going to hit the button. I don't have it anymore. Okay. Well, here's where we need to go with this, Chris. First of all, CJ. There will be, I don't know, maybe Chris can continue to mention Andrell every show. We'll see how that goes.
Listen, if he pops off next season, I'm going to be talking about it a lot.
Yeah.
But kind of a bummer to see that. But I'll say this: knew it was coming, have known it was coming for a while. You could just, even if you didn't have the information directly, you knew that this is kind of where things were trending. I don't think he's the last Michigan wide receiver that's going to be in the portal here in the near future. But again, we talked about it for the first handful of weeks, throughout the season, while Michigan's offense was working and doing, what Michigan wanted it to do. We talked about those guys on the outside and the wide receivers and the guys who want to make plays. That, it's good to get out there and block for your running back and to help in any way that you can. But at the end of the day, you want to get the ball in your hands. You want to be a playmaker. And it became pretty damn clear that, at least for Andrell Anthony, it wasn't going to happen this season. And I think a lot of people were surprised by that, not just me. And I think it was, largely based on the Michigan State game last year. It's the idea of, how does that type of performance happen just once when it wasn't like the ball was falling in his lap? I mean, he was jumping up, snagging the ball. He was, he was the fastest guy on the field. Nobody could catch him. Like, those aren't things that typically disappear after a single game, but for whatever reason, just couldn't put it together this season. And now you look at the fairly extensive list of the schools that are interested in Andrell, apparently, and you've got every, Michigan State, Notre Dame, Oklahoma. He was just on a recent visit in Oklahoma. By the way, he had the all-black Oklahoma uniform on with the red visor. Oh, still looking drippy out there in Norman. Pretty extensive list of schools that are interested in Andrell. So we'll see where he ends up.
I mean, 7 catches, 80 yards. for the season, bro. Like, it's unreal that he had he had more production in that one game against Michigan State than he did the entire season in 2022. I just don't understand how that happens. Like you said, it's not like, I mean, what he did in that game, you should be able to do all the time. I mean, are you always fast? Are you always able to jump high? Are you always able to have good size? It just seems strange that he wasn't able to put it together at all this year. And I'm not going to say it's all on the coaching staff or all on the scheme. I mean, if he's getting wide open every time he goes out for route, I mean, like, he's going to be on the field. So yeah, you have to put some of it on him. I mean, we're not in practice, we're not watching the reps, and we certainly didn't see him in the games. But it's just crazy to me that as a sophomore with J.J. McCarthy, his classmate and close friend, who we thought they had good chemistry. I mean, we saw the chemistry in that Michigan State game last year, that he wasn't able to put it together. His only touchdown this year was a fumble recovery in the end zone after Ronnie Bell, kind of just, spit it into the end zone from the 1 yard line. So, yeah, dude, just a crazy way to play out for Andrell, but you can't blame him. I mean, he doesn't want to play 15 snaps a game and never get targeted and, catch a ball every other game. Like, it's just crazy. So,
yeah, and again, we spent a good portion of our time, throughout most of the season just talking about that even though Michigan's offense was working at that time, that, if you're a wide receiver or if you're somebody who wants to make plays and get the ball in your hands, that, it is going to have an impact. And I think Andrell was one of the guys that it just seemed like the transfer portal was all but definite after the season was over. And here we are.
Yep, seemed pretty much inevitable, and it's a bummer because Chris and I had a fun time covering him. We got to know him a little bit, through that sit-down interview, and then we just, we thought big things were coming. Everybody did. Everybody thought, like, damn, freshman year, okay, he didn't play a whole lot, but look what he did against State. Sophomore year, he's going to be one of, if not the top guys, and it just didn't materialize, and it's unfortunate. So, yeah, we'll see if Chris can continue to work him into the show. CJ, if you'd like to keep writing down when it happens.
I'm rooting for him. He obviously,
of course.
Another example of somebody, look, things didn't go the way he wanted them to go at Michigan, but the way he left, the way he exited the program, the statement he put out that it was a dream for him to play at the University of Michigan, and the friendships and the relationships that he built here. Clearly wasn't happy with the way things went, didn't want to transfer, but ultimately felt that was in his best interest and left in a classy way. And it's another example of how you do it. If you're going to move on from a program, I mean, there's ways to do it. And I think Andrell did it the right way. So hate to see him go, but real excited to see what the future has for him.
Yeah, Bobby, I just don't agree with this anymore, man. I'm, like, if this is a kid who has aspirations to play in the NFL, and if you watch him in that one Michigan State game, it looks like he's got the talent to do it. Now, does he need to clean up his route running? Does he need to be a little sharper when it comes to getting in and out of his break? I mean, maybe. I mean, he's going to get coached up wherever he goes, and he's going to try to get on the field and put up numbers. That's what he's doing.
I'm curious. Does Bobby, and I don't know because I'm speculating, but does Bobby share that same energy when it comes to Jim Harbaugh and wanting to remain part of a winning program? I mean, is it just limited to the players, or do you feel that same way when it comes to the head coach as well?
Yeah, I mean, it goes both ways, and we've said too, though. I mean, Chris and I have asked the question, not really rhetorically either, like, why would a wide receiver come to Michigan? I mean, like, you can legitimately ask that question and not really come up with a very good answer, because they don't get a lot of targets, they don't make a lot of catches, they don't get a lot of big plays, they don't score a lot of touchdowns. I mean, yeah, they're involved and they're on a winning team and they're playing, and then, the 1 and 2 are out there. I mean, like, they've got a tight end or two on the field all the time. That means that's two receivers that are not on the field. So, like, it's just not a super receiver friendly offense. And, I don't blame him at all. I like, go somewhere and catch 90 balls next year and get on NFL radars as a junior. Like, that's what he should be focusing on at this point. And
yeah, but at the same time, if you are a 5-star running back, 5-star offensive lineman, defensive end, I mean, there is a lot of things that Michigan does where the top guys in the country should be lining up to get in Ann Arbor, and you don't really see a lot of that.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into a little bit why that might be happening here, Chris, as we move forward. So the next big topic, I guess, we've seen it come up a couple times in the comments over there. These NCAA violations that Michigan and Jim Harbaugh could be facing based on whatever you think happened. I mean, like, there's the speculation out there about it was over just a hamburger. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. There's no way that's all it was. Sure, that could have been part of it. Maybe not squaring up a receipt the right way and having recruits on campus and feeding them when you weren't supposed to be and blah, blah, blah. But like, just miss me with like, it was just one cheeseburger. Like, that's not what happens in these instances. So just pump the brakes on that a little bit, and the details will eventually be out.
Let me just read a little excerpt that I have here that I think elaborates on. So there were 4 level 2 violations and 1 level 1 violation. And that level 1 violation concerns Harbaugh allegedly providing false or misleading information to NCAA investigators looking into one of the level 2 violations listed above. So basically what they're saying is the NCAA was looking into these violations. They reached out to Harbaugh about it, and he
lied.
Basically lied about what occurred. So that is an issue. And again, whether it's over a cheeseburger, there's something else. Like, I get it. I get why people would be pissed off, especially, in the fan base, when you look at what's happening around college football and some of the dirty tricks that happen in the SEC, some of the other things that happen. I get why you wouldn't think it would be a big deal. But again, if you lie to the NCAA and they find out that you're lying, there's probably going to be an issue. And it sounds like at this point that the level 1 violation very likely could carry a multi-game suspension for Jim Harbaugh. And so I don't know how much of that is factoring into all the other things that are going on in terms of the NFL. I don't think it's playing a large factor because, again, we were here last year and we didn't have any of the NCAA violations at that point. So I think that the NFL has always been something that's there. But, I think just dismissing it as a simple cheeseburger is, that's the easy thing to do if you're, a Jim Harbaugh fan, you're a fan of the program. It's easy to dismiss it as, it's nothing, but clearly something serious enough that the NCAA thought there was an issue. And again, I'm not excusing what goes on elsewhere.
Yeah, that's a different discussion.
We talk about Michigan. That's what it is.
Trust me, the Will Wades of the world, Bobby Petrino's about to get another job. I don't even what the hell are we doing? Like, I get it. Like, we don't need to go down that path. I understand, but it is what it is right now with Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. And I was waiting, Ben. I wasn't ignoring your question earlier, but I knew we were going to get to this. So here's Ben's conspiracy theory, Chris. Let's either poke a hole in it or call him dumb or smart.
Let's hear it.
Is it possible that Jim Harbaugh inflamed the investigation by lying in an attempt to save face when he actually... This dude's playing chess out here, not checkers.
Well, you know what? Listen, anything is possible. Anything is possible at this point. I don't think that is the most likely scenario. It just seems like, I mean, shit, I've seen conspiracy theories that this is the NCAA's opportunity to try to get back at Jim Harbaugh for pushing things like NIL and the satellite camps, and they want him out of college football. And so they're going after him for these I mean, it's all, to me, it's all bullshit. I think he was asked a question. I think Jim Harbaugh probably did what we've seen it in the statements he's come out with. He's very good about the way he, phrases things and says things and isn't always direct about, exactly what happened. And so I could see that being the case with the NCAA as well. If they asked him, like, look, did you take, two recruits out for a burger? Well, while no man knows the future, ... I could see it being a response like that.
No,
I mean, so
my thought was, Jim, did you have recruits on campus at an illegal time and take them out for a meal? Why don't you ask the Big Ten guys? They were around. Maybe he said that. Maybe he, remember when he told us to ask the Big Ten guys?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, why don't you
ask somebody else? Son of a bitch.
Yeah, listen, I don't think that he intentionally did anything to try to save face for when he eventually leaves. Because again, this time last year, he was on a private jet out to Minnesota to take an interview out there. He didn't get the job. He came back to Michigan. I know we're going to get into it a little bit, but he said that was it. That's that. I tried it one time. The itch was still there. Clearly there was a mutual interest between myself and the Vikings, and now I am here to stay. This will not be a reoccurring thing. No matter what happens, listen, whether he leaves or he stays, this line of this will not be a reoccurring thing.
That's the point.
Is 100% bullshit. It was a lie. It's not true. And that, I think, is what pisses me off more than anything, is that you see all of the Harbaugh, super fans out there want to defend it, and he should look around, and his contract isn't what it should be, and he should be paid this and he should be paid that. At what point, look, It's the NCAA. It's Ward Manual. It's this. It's the media. It's that. At what point in time is this a Jim Harbaugh issue? That's all I'm asking. At what point in time does Jim Harbaugh bear some responsibility for where the program has now found itself in after its 2 most successful seasons with him as head coach?
It's not only that either. It's the act of coming back when clearly he wanted something else. Like, this is going to be 2 years in a row of that now. It looks 3 years if you ask me. He wanted to leave so badly after 2020, but nobody was interested. And I don't care what anybody says ever. That's a fact. And then even if you want to shoot that down with every fiber in your being, all right, well, then just move it over a year, because we know that he wanted to leave last year. He got on a plane to take a job and he didn't get it. And now he's interviewing again. And it just continues to happen. And people want to, I don't know. Yeah. Blame everybody else, blame something else. And Thomas, you've got people like this. He's not going anywhere. Well, he wants to. And so, cool. Pound the table and slam your fist when he comes walking back, because nobody else.
What is that based on? What
gives
is
him a
that
job
based
offer?
On? I see. And Thomas, you're not alone when you are one of thousands of fans out there that have routinely pounded the table and said he's not going anywhere. What is that based on? Is it just because you still live in this fantasy that he truly loves Michigan more than any other place on the planet and would never want to go? Listen, if that is the truth, then we wouldn't be in this situation right now. If Michigan was the only place for him, then what you don't do is create a bunch of chaos and controversy and all of this other bullshit by trying to negotiate some other contract that you feel like you deserve after 2 really good years. Did Harbaugh not know what he was signing when he signed the 5-year extension that took him through 2026? Was he unaware of the terms of the deal? So you think he made, based on his base salary and the other compensation he gets, it's over $7 million a year. With incentives, I put it out on the Facebook page today. What he made this year was touching on $10 million. What do you think it's going to take to get this NFL stuff to go away? 11 million? 12 million?
15?
13? I mean, what is it going to take for this stuff to go away? And I'm sorry, but as somebody who, again, I know these guys are playing in a different sandbox, but for me, I don't have a lot of sympathy for guys that are making 7 million who think they should be making 10. I just don't have it.
Yeah, it's hard to get to that point. It's hard to get to that point.
Pay the man what he's worth. I mean, Jesus Christ, he made $10 million this year. He made $10 million, and he's been making that kind of money for a long time now. He is fine financially. Yeah, and so if he's holding Michigan over the coals to try to get more money, to me, this whole those who stay, the team, no man is more important. All of that is just bullshit, because you're holding out for more money. You want to get paid. And if it's not about wanting to get paid, then it's about your desire to go to the NFL. And if that's real, exactly. What is it? It's either you want more money or you genuinely want to go to the NFL. It can't really be too much more than that. All these other conspiracies about NIL, the NCAA, whatever. If you want to get into that, fine. You can play in that sandbox. I'm not going to play there. To me, it's either he wants more money or he wants the NFL, or if it's a combination of those two things. And neither one of those things sit right with me, especially when fans had to endure basically 6 years of coming up short. And then finally, on your best 2 seasons, you use those 2 to capitalize and try to go elsewhere.
Wade. You know what, Wade?
Jesus Christ.
Chris and I, Tom Pelissero, Adam Schefter, name one. Not one of us.
I didn't have a call with Carolina, Wade.
Not one of us was on that plane to Minnesota last year. Not one. None of us. I wasn't there. Nobody was there. One guy was there. Dude, no. Stop. Go take the Harbaugh jersey off the wall and smell it for a minute and just... Dude, it's not us, bro. It's not I'm sorry that the beloved number 4 might want to go back to the NFL, but it's facts, dude. It's
wild.
It's not us, man.
Listen, it's okay. There you go. It's wild to me that somebody like Wade can say that this is media driven when the dude legitimately was on a private jet last year to go
on
interview
signing day.
But somehow that's our fault. That's a narrative that we're driving. And now we're back here. He comes back to Ann Arbor, says he's not going to do it again, says he's all in, and bullshit. because he does do it again. And now,
well,
according to reports, now hold on. According to reports, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but did he say he was back, or was there like a couple little caveats kind of built into his statement?
Here's the thing, though. He was more direct in that interview he did with, I think it was the Free Press or whoever the hell he interviewed with, when he said, "Look, I told Ward this was a one-time thing. It's not going to be a reoccurring thing year after year." That was pretty damn direct. To me, that says it's not going to happen year after year. Bullshit, because here we are the very next year, and it's happening. And according to the reports that we saw from CBS Sports, excuse me, it wasn't Carolina that was clawing at Jim Harbaugh's door to see what his interest was, but that it was Jim Harbaugh's camp repeatedly reaching out to Carolina to gauge what their interest was. And so again, is it the media's fault? Did the media, do we have a virtual interview scheduled with Denver? And there's a lot of people out there that say, well, the fact that it's virtual should tell you something. It's Jim Harbaugh. It's his camp trying to position themselves to get the best contract possible. Then again, it comes down to money. It comes down to a guy that's making more than $7 million a year at Michigan, at a place he supposedly loves more than any other place on the face of the earth, according to some of these fans. But he wants more, needs more money.
Yeah,
I don't like it. And he's doing it at the expense of, by the way, current staff members. It's not just about him and his hopes and his dreams and his goals. He's got people on staff. He's got assistant coaches. He's got staff members. He's got players. He's got recruits. Matter of fact, Brandon, a current player's father tweeted out today that this is bullshit. It needs to come to an end. Alex Orji, a quarterback at the University of Michigan. A lot of you guys know of him because of his last name. Had a pretty big fan base in 2022. His father says this has to end one way or the other for the future of the program. Didn't think we would be doing this again this year. Enough already. I agree. Why is that such a controversial take?
So
why is it anybody that questions this or questions whether or not it's good for the program is deemed as, the villain in this? There's only one person who's in 100% control of whether or not Jim Harbaugh's in Ann Arbor in 2023. And it's Jim Harbaugh.
So to go back, was it Wade that put
Wade.
that comment up?
Yeah.
Is Alex Orji's dad driving the narrative? I mean, what are we doing here, dude? Like you gotta.
He's a victim of the media narrative.
You gotta stop with that angle, man. It's not the media. It's not the media. I mean, Chris tweeted something out. I think put it on the Facebook page earlier too. How Juwan Howard went about and squashed room, like instant, gone, done. Like, I'm at Michigan. I'm not listening. I'm not
even entertaining. Right. I'm not taking calls. Not listening. I mean, that's simple. That's as clear as it gets. And then guess what happened right after that? The bullshit went away.
It stopped.
It stopped. And players knew where he stood. Fans knew where he stood. Recruits knew where he stood. Yeah. It was over. Jim Harbaugh 2 days ago puts out that statement through the University of Michigan with the same bullshit line about no man knowing the future. I think I'll be doing this. And all that did was make it worse. And I know that there were a lot of super fans out there that jumped on it and said, you see, how many times does he have to say it? And I go back to what I said last time. How many times is he going to take an NFL interview? He's got to say it one more time than that. And now here we are, apparently, a virtual interview with the Broncos this week. Will he get the job? I don't know. I don't know if he's going to get any NFL job, but I go back to what I said earlier in the show.
That's not really the point. Yeah, that's not really the point.
We're doing this again after he said we wouldn't be doing this again. And that's what I take issue with.
Yeah.
I have a big problem with that. And what are we doing it for? That's my question to you, Brandon. What are we doing it for? Is it about money? Because if it's about money, I don't want to hear those who stay bullshit anymore. I don't want to hear about the team anymore. Because this is not what's in the best interest for the Michigan football program. Might be in the best interest for Jim Harbaugh to use as a negotiating tactic, but sure as hell isn't good for the program. And Alex Orji's father's words are proof of that.
Yeah.
Everybody who thinks that behind closed doors, the players know what's going on, the fans know what's going on, the recruits know what's going on. Does that sound like people who know what's going on?
Yeah.
And do you think Alex Orji's father is the only player parent who feels that way?
Yeah. They didn't last year. They didn't this year. They don't know what he's going to do, because last year Jim Harbaugh got on a plane and went to Minnesota and left his assistant coaches to mend fences with the current players, the current recruits, the current signees, all that stuff. They were telling him, you know what? Coach Harbaugh's gone, but we're going to be good. We got a good staff. You know, we're rock solid. We think we might even. There were a report, like people that I talked to, players inside that program, that the assistant coaches.
Oh, you
said,
don't know a goddamn thing. What are you talking about? You don't have any people that you talk to.
They said that the assistant coaches were saying we're going to be better off without him. Like not to bash him, but like those are the kind of messages you have to deliver to a team when something like that happens. And then he comes back, and now those assistant coaches that looked right in the faces of recruits and parents and players and said we'll be fine without him. We might even be better without him. Well, we didn't really mean that. I mean, now he's back. Our guy's back. Like, you can't continue to do this, man. You can't continue to do this. Like Chris said, at the expense of his assistants, at the expense of his upperclassmen, at the expense of the guys who signed. Dude, the expense of the guys who just transferred in. We were talking about that, Chris. Like, what the hell am I doing? I just got here. He's saying he's going to stay, kind of, and now he's out taking interviews next week. Like, what did I sign on to? That's not how it's supposed to go. Again, after the 2 best seasons the program has ever had.
All right, so let's talk about money. Let's talk about money in 2022. According to NBC Sports, Jim Harbaugh in 2022 was the 12th highest paid coach in college football. It goes number 1, Nick Saban, number 2, Kirby Smart, number 3, Dabo Swinney, number 4, Lincoln Riley, who, you know, we know what's going on with Lincoln Riley. Number 5, Brian Kelly at LSU. Number 6, Mel Tucker, who obviously signed a big contract extension there in East Lansing. Number 7, Ryan Day. Number 8, David Shaw. Number 9, Mario Cristobal. Number 10, Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M. Number 11, the Lane Train, Lane Kiffin. And then you've got Jim Harbaugh at number 12 at $7.5 million. Again, doesn't include incentives. If you include incentives, I'm sure Jim Harbaugh is higher up on that list. But essentially what that equates to is the 3rd highest paid coach in the Big Ten Conference. You've got James Franklin just behind him at $7 million. So I'm just, I can't get on board with the idea that there's nothing there. I think we can get rid of that conspiracy theory, right? That this is all media driven, that nothing's happening, that, you know, it's just Jim Harbaugh is going to be there and this is all the story that's created. So either it's one of 2 things. There's either legitimate interest in the NFL, or Jim Harbaugh wants more money from Michigan, or it's a combination from the 2. And either way, I'm not okay with that. I don't think either one of those scenarios are okay. Based on not some conspiracy theory, but based on Jim Harbaugh's own words, that this wouldn't be a repetitive thing. It wouldn't be an annual deal. If we're not allowed to take him at his word, then why the hell are so many people so excited about this word soup statement that he puts out and taking that as gospel? Why are people automatically saying, "Yep, see, he thinks he'll be here in Michigan in 2023. That means he's coming back." Did the statement last year not mean anything? Because it wasn't on an official Michigan letterhead, I guess. Did it mean less?
I wanted to talk about that word soup a little bit because he put out, you know, everybody has seen the picture now, the graphic, you know,
Looks
nice and pretty.
Good.
Nice and pretty. But first of all, I'm aware of the rumors and the speculations over the past few days. Then he goes on to say, I truly believe that's a treatment to the strength, you know, that's a testament, to the strength of our university and our football program. So deflecting. Right out of the gate, deflecting, not really addressing the issue, but trying to twist it around. Like this is actually a good thing. Me getting on a plane and going to Minnesota, and me checking out the Broncos and checking out the Panthers. This is a good thing for us. Dude, no, it's not. That's bullshit. So right out of the gate, he's spinning the narrative and he's twisting the words around and he's deflecting what the true issue is. That's the first thing. Then, as I stated in December, while no one knows so the first thing he said when he actually addresses the actual issue is that we don't know. Like, don't worry about what's going to happen because we just don't know. That dude, there could not be less balls in that statement. There couldn't be less. And the fact that people grabbed that and were like, yeah, like I don't. Oh, the George Carlin thing, dude, it pops into my head so often. Think of an average person, how dumb they are, and then realize that 50% of people are dumber than that guy. If you read this statement and get pumped about Jim Harbaugh's prospective view for coming back to Michigan, I can't help you. I can't help you. Like we said this about, you know, if you're involved in a crime or if you're unfaithful to your spouse, like doing this route. Like, we don't know your wife comes to you. You know, I really want to make this work. Are you going to cheat on me again? We don't know the future. I feel pretty good about keeping it in my pants from this day forward. Pretty good. I think I probably can do it. What do you think?
Would it be good enough from a recruit you were trying to sign?
What is that?
Commitment?
And
That's
how
what I'm
did
saying.
people get excited about that? I don't understand it, dude, at all.
Because they're so eager to just keep everything as is and to believe. I think that there are people out there that truly believe that Jim Harbaugh doesn't want to be anywhere other than the University of Michigan, that this fantasy fairy tale land they've created is real life, when all of the tea leaves out there prove otherwise. And so you just get this weird disconnect between some of the fan base and some of the things that are actually happening. And I've seen people say that, like, look, if he wants to go to the NFL, we shouldn't be mad at him. Again, go back to last year. That's what this is about for me. This is about last year. After Michigan's most successful season with him as head coach, we spent the entire early offseason talking about Jim Harbaugh, wondering if he was going to be there. Is he interviewing with this team? Now he's on a private jet to go to Minnesota. Assistants don't know what's going on. Players don't know what's going on. Recruits don't know what's going on. And it turns out he ends up not getting the job, coming back and signing a 5-year extension to be the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines till 2026. One that's going to pay him almost $37 million a year with incentives that bump that up considerably. And now here we are a year later, and what? That's not good enough? That's not enough because Mel Tucker makes more or Ryan Day makes more? I mean, is it an ego thing? Because certainly you can live on $7, $8, $9, $10 million. You can make a living on that. So what is it about? Is it about NIL? Is it about these NCAA allegations for violations? I don't know. But all I know is at the end of the day, it's not good for the program. And somebody asked in the comments, what else does he have to say? What else does he have to do? A definitive statement about where you stand is all it takes. And if you're truly looking at the NFL at this point, which most people, reasonable people think you are, then just fucking come out and say it. Just say it. Yes, that strong pull is still there. And yes, I'm exploring my options. And give everybody else the opportunity that you're giving yourself to sort of figure things out. But instead, everybody's waiting on one guy to get his situation figured out.
Even if he did do that, and maybe he is saying a little bit more behind closed doors to his players, to his coaches, you've still got a parent like Alex Orji's dad who's not having it. Like he probably knows more than us. I would be shocked if he didn't. He's not feeling it. Like, so again, and to your point, Chris, you know he's not the only parent that feels that way. You know he's not the only player that feels that way. You know he's not the only recruit that feels that way. It's reflected in the recruiting rankings in 2023. It's reflected in some of the stuff we've heard throughout the course of the season and now in the offseason. And again, right out there in public from a guy like Willie Orji, Alex Orji's dad. So, yeah, I mean, again, back to the whole, like, the narrative is being created by the media. It's not. The narrative is being pushed by this or this. It's not. It's Jim Harbaugh. It's one guy trying to figure out what he wants to do. And, like, look, that's his prerogative, but it sucks. It just sucks. It sucks for Michigan football. It sucks for the players that are there. It sucks for him if he comes back because he broke down so much momentum that he himself and his staff had created with the success on the field and the chemistry within that building and the culture that's been created. We've heard all about it. I mean, this is bad for culture. This kind of thing is bad for a culture that was and has been humming along.
That's what drives me insane. If you want to be here, like if you truly want to be here, this program has become everything everybody hoped it would be when he came back.
Right. It's finally there.
A program that wins conference championships, a program that beats Ohio State, a program that is, in the college football playoff, a program that has phenomenal culture inside the building, guys that love each other, play for each other, a true brotherhood. Those 2 years where that was created, all that's happened is you've tried to get out, seemingly, or get yourself more. Like, I don't understand it. To me, it screams everything but the team. It's me. Am I going to go to the NFL? Am I going to get paid? What's the deal with my contract? And to hell with everything else until I get that figured out. That's what it feels like. And when you put out statements where you're kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, what do you expect people to do? You are leaving the door open for a potential departure. a year after you said it wouldn't become an annual thing. So why should anybody take him at his word, even when that statement was half-assed anyway? Why should anybody take him at his word now when he's clearly already gone back on his word from a year ago? There is no debating that. He said it wouldn't happen. He said it was a one-time thing. That is not true. It's not the case. And for anybody out there if Ward Manuel ponies up and pays him whatever, another $3 million a year, so he's $10 million, make him the highest paid coach in the Big Ten. Do you honestly think if the right NFL job comes open next year that he's not going to go looking, that he's not going to take that call? To me, the trust there, at least from my standpoint, is dead. It's gone.
Yeah. Malachi, I think this is, there's a lot of people who have said the opposite. He's coming back.
Where do you stand on that?
I think he's coming back because I don't think he's the best person for some of these NFL. Look, all right, if I'm the Broncos, I'm hiring Sean Payton. I know it's not just like A or B. Like there's some, I think he's probably got some contractual stuff in the way because of his current job. And maybe he wants more control. It's not just like pick a guy and get him. I understand that. It kind of is. The NFL, NFL teams pretty much get who they want. Typically, if they're interviewing 5 guys and they want one, they usually get them. So if I'm the Broncos, I'm hiring Sean Payton. He's been in the NFL more recently. The NFL is an offensive firepower kind of league now, and that's more where his wheelhouse is. So I think it's going to continue to be. I think it's going to continue to be what it's been in 2020. There was nothing. He wanted to leave, the bad season. The family wanted out. Blah blah blah. Whatever you want to go back to. There wasn't an opportunity, not even a little bit, not even a sniff after going 2-4 and getting your ass beat by Ohio State every year. Not even a chance. Last year, there was a chance. He went out there, thought he was getting the job with Minnesota and didn't. So then here he comes, walking back again with his blankie. Hey guys, I'm back. Take me back. That sat so bad with me last year, the way that felt. And then, he whooped ass. And so you're like, God, dude, how did this happen? That was incredible. And now it's going to feel the same way to me. It's going to feel the same way. If the only reason he's back at Michigan is because he doesn't get a signable contract in his hand from an NFL team.
And then what's going to happen?
That's cool with you. Then we're different people.
And I'm of the same belief. I think the reason he'll be back coaching at Michigan next year is because he's not going to get that contract in the NFL. That's what I truly think. If there was a team out there that he liked that wanted to give him the contract that he wanted, I truly believe he would be gone. He would sign it and be on his way. But I don't think that's going to happen. And when it doesn't happen and Jim Harbaugh signs whatever new deal it is at Michigan, you're going to get half the fan base that once again says, you see, there was nothing to it. There's nothing to the NFL stuff. And that's simply not true. That's not the case. By Jim Harbaugh's own admission last year, when he said the pull to the NFL is strong, certainly by the evidence that he was on a private jet to interview with the Minnesota Vikings. That's pretty good evidence that there was interest in the NFL. Right. And again, here he is again talking to teams, whether it's his camp talking to Carolina or it's a virtual interview with the Broncos. All that means is what he said last year. These people who are like, his word is his bond, and he committed to the players, and he's not going in with bullshit, because he said last year it wasn't going to happen, and it is happening. It's already happening. Whether or not he goes or stays, that's almost irrelevant at this point in my mind. The bigger issue is that we're dealing with it again after he said we wouldn't. That's what I take.
I actually think the Broncos' job isn't as bad as most people think. I know they sucked this year. I don't think Russell Wilson will be that bad again.
I was going to say, can you imagine dealing with Russell Wilson? But maybe the world of Russell Wilson and Jim Harbaugh, oh my God.
2 Mr. Unlimiteds in the same room, dude. Yeah, incredible. I don't know. But it's really more about,
Cody, I've seen that as well. They're talking about, their favorite wines and, who their favorite NASCAR driver is and where Jim Harbaugh is vacationing. They're not talking about the job openings. Why would they?
You can label it however you want. Like if he's on the phone with the owner of the Panthers, it's pretty clear it's about football and the coaching job. What are we doing here? I thought one of the new things in Harbaugh's contract was that if he did this, like it was grounds for termination.
Well, if he does it without notifying Michigan first.
Well,
so if he goes and has a conversation with somebody, excuse me, and doesn't notify Michigan that they could terminate his contract. Now, I don't know what that means because he's clearly working with somebody who's having conversations on his behalf. So, did that include the possibility of hiring an agent and having somebody reach out to Carolina on your behalf? To me, that's kind of like, just like everything else. You're getting cute and you're getting fancy with what's really happening. That's at the end of the day, that's where I'm at. Just be real. All this negotiation stuff, all of this word soup stuff, like, dude, you clearly lied about what you said last year. This year, just own up to it, because Michigan is finally at a place where everybody wanted it to be when you were hired. And the stuff that you're doing is compromising that. And you might not see it. You didn't see it this year. You might not see it next year. But at some point in time, people are going to stop taking Jim Harbaugh at his word. He's going to ruin what he's built here.
That needs to be a big sign next year if he's back at Michigan. Harbaugh, that's right. Him and Russ.
You already know there's a group out there getting ready to make those T-shirts, so don't worry about it.
Jason. You must be new here. We touched on this a lot. You don't know that. You want to believe that. Bad.
Shut up.
He's
What's
not moving to Denver. How do you know? What do you mean? Dude, you know Jim Harbaugh as well as you know this chair I'm sitting in. What are you talking about? Like, come on, man. You gotta wake up and smell the Rocky Mountains, bro. He could move out there tomorrow, dude. You have no idea.
Even Jim Harbaugh's self-proclaimed best friend on Twitter doesn't know what Jim Harbaugh is going to do, but you do. You know what his next move is? Come on now. Player parents don't know what he's going to do, but you do.
Look, and I'm poking a little bit of fun at you, Jason. You could just reword that and say, I don't want him to go. That's fine.
There you go.
That's fine. There's a lot of people that are.
I think he's leaving.
There's a lot of people that feel that way.
Anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that feel that way, and that's fine.
Believe it or not, I don't want him to leave, even at this point. But well, let me rephrase that. If this is where we're at every single damn offseason, if this is where we're at, I would prefer him to go. That's where I'm at. And I said that a week ago in a tweet, and people got their panties all in a bunch because I said, if I'm Ward Manuel and Jim Harbaugh is already talking with other NFL teams a year after saying he wouldn't, I let him go and I promote Sharon Moore and I move on with the program before any damage gets done. That's what I said. But there were some people out there that took issue with that. Now here we are days later still doing the same shit. And just as Alex Orji's father said, you can't keep doing it year after year. It will damage the program. And I'm over it. So if you don't want to be here or you still have dreams of coaching in the NFL, then I think Ward Manuel should help him along his way. You go pursue those dreams, young man. Go do it while you can.
Let me set you free.
Correct. We'll make it easy for you. Go pursue it. Sharon Moore, take the reins. Let's see what you got.
That's what I was trying to find.
According to Jim Harbaugh himself, Sharon Moore is more than ready to be a head coach at the collegiate level. Let's give him a shot. He wants to be here. Hell, Sharon Moore came out and said he's in no hurry to leave the program.
Yeah. So I wanted to go back to a couple of the super chats because I think I missed them earlier while we were ranting and raving. But so John says he wants Harbaugh to leave at this point because of the play calling. Look, I've been pretty open about my dislike for the play calling at times, but you can't argue with the results, man. You just can't. Now, that last game, losing to TCU, that freaking sucked, man. And there were some critical errors in play calling and execution and what you were asking guys to do and how you went about it. There's no question, but I've been able to grow up myself just a little bit this year and be like, okay, this stuff works. Like, it works pretty well. They blitzed a lot of teams this year, man, by a lot of points. I mean, I think they had the largest, scoring differential in the country, if I'm not mistaken, or it was very close. They beat Michigan State, Ohio State, and Penn State all by 20 plus, first time ever. Like, shit's working. It's working. It's not that exciting.
Where frustration's coming from is that it is working.
Yeah,
it's working.
So, John, I I don't think your one game assessment is misplaced, but I think you're like Chris and I were after like the Iowa game. We're like
before we were born again.
Yeah, we're born again Harbaughs, dude. That's where we're at this point. Like, it just
And then
you
he
kind
goes
of
and
have
does
to.
this shit.
Well, yeah, and now you're looking at this, and it's part of this, and now you got the violations and the not winning in the postseason, and you're like, well, maybe we'll see you later. Maybe you could hit the Rockies, dude. John Denver's full of shit.
I mean, that's the messed up part about it is we spent like, once you got to year 4, it was like, okay, what the hell's going on? Can't beat Ohio State, can't get to Indy. This is getting pretty damn frustrating. Year 5, year 6.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know what 2020 was like. Everybody was pretty much ready to like depart from the deal. And then he goes and has an incredible run in 2021 and basically wins everybody back, even the worst haters like you, Brandon. Wins them back. Wins them back. Wins guys like me back. We're back on the Harbaugh. Choo-choo. All aboard the Harbaugh train. And then all he does when things are working is try to get the hell out or try to get more money. Either one, I just don't like it. I'm not happy with it. I get wanting a new contract deal after 2020, after they cut your pay in half, which was deserved, by the way. You talk about loyalty. I heard somebody earlier bring up, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not mad at Jim for wanting to leave. There's no loyalty with this program. Jesus Christ, how loyal did they have? They should have, could have, and probably should have fired him after year 6 and didn't. And instead, they gave him a new contract with a ton of incentives and said, you go and earn it. And guess what he did? He went out and earned it. And then the following year, they gave him a better contract. And what'd he do? He went out and earned it to the tune of almost $10 million. And here we are again. It's not enough money, or Michigan's not enough, or NIL isn't enough, or whatever. It's always something. The bottom line is the program is working. The team is good. The culture is good. It's where it needs to be. Back-to-back conference championships, back-to-back wins over Ohio State, back-to-back college football playoff appearances. If you're all in, this is the time where you capitalize. And instead, we're all in limbo, just waiting on one guy to make a decision.
Again.
As if, this whole no man knows the future bullshit, as if it's out of his control. Really? Because you're the only guy that's going to determine whether or not you're at Michigan next year.
Well, he's right about that because he doesn't know if he's going to get an offer. I mean,
that's true. I think that's probably what that's referring to. Is I don't know if I'm going to get an NFL offer, so I think I'll be at Michigan in 2023.
That's maybe. Man, he's playing chess again. He really is.
I just blew my own mind. That's what that statement was.
Yep.
No man knows the future. I'm not sure that I'm going to get an offer in the NFL, so I think I'll be enthusiastically coaching Michigan again in 2023.
That's it. Broken down. Code cracked.
Pretty simple.
Just need a couple of win.
Did I just crack the Harbaugh code?
We just need a couple of win talkers out here to get on the horn and figure out what Harbaugh is really trying to say. I don't know if I'm going to get an offer from the NFL. If I don't, I'll be back whooping ass.
Then you know what? Just put that in the goddamn statement so that everybody knows. Okay, he's exploring.
All right.
Let your assistants know, let your players know, let everybody in the Michigan orbit know so that they too can make their own damn decisions and not have to wait on you to make yours.
Yeah. So this question's been brought up a lot, obviously. Like, I feel like it's getting out ahead of ourselves just a little bit because he's not gone. I mean, dude, the second something happens where Harbaugh is not the coach at Michigan anymore, I will take the deepest dive into head coaching replacements and look at all possibilities. Yeah. But I do think Sharon Moore is in the discussion, and it's to Chris's point that he said earlier and what Harbaugh has been doing all year. I mean, dude, he has been pumping up Sharon Moore more than I've heard him ever talk about it. I mean, he's always really complimentary of his coaches. Like Ben Herbert gets a ton of praise. Jesse Minter gets a ton of praise. Don Brown used to get a ton of praise. I mean, it's been across the board, and he's been doing it with Sharon Moore maybe more than ever this year, saying he's more than ready to be a head coach. Like at some point he's going to be a star as a head coach. And, if it is him this year, then we'll see what that looks like. But yeah, I mean, like at this point when it's not really a possibility, I just haven't done enough research to even, I saw people say like, well, give me 3 names, give me 5 names. I don't know if I can do that right now because I haven't put enough energy or attention to it just yet. I've got some guys that I like. That doesn't mean that Michigan is going to give them even a remote look. So, that's also another another angle of it.
I'll just say real quick. To me, the reason why the guy is Sharon Moore is because he's already proven he's a great coach. The players that are there love him. He's great on the recruiting trail. He's obviously done great things with the offensive line. Jim Harbaugh himself has said he's ready to be a head coach, and it's a move that rocks the boat the least. You keep a guy who's already been there, who already has the relationships in place, and I don't think you rock the boat too much. But Brandon, can you put up that comment by Sam? Is it Cass? I don't know how you say his last name.
-1.
This drives me nuts. You guys are so negative on Harbaugh. He has the right to determine his worth and go after it. Sam, nobody is saying he doesn't. But when you go out of your way to say that it's a one-time thing and it's never going to happen again, and then it happens the very next opportunity you get, you don't think people have a right to take issue with that? Do you think Alex Orji's father is negative on Harbaugh? Or do you think he just wants some goddamn resolution? That's what this is about. We like Harbaugh. We prefer that he stays. I think that's what's best for the program. But what's not best for the program is to do this year in and year out. He doesn't get to do this every single year because, Sam, other people rely on Jim Harbaugh's decision. It's not just about Jim. It's about his assistants. It's about the other people on staff. There's other people in the building that are impacted by what he decides to do. So doing this year in and year out, and I didn't even talk about the players and the recruiting. So doing this year in and year out is awful for Michigan. I am a Michigan football fan first, not a Jim Harbaugh fan. If Jim Harbaugh goes to the NFL and coaches the Denver Broncos, guess how much I'm going to care about the Denver Broncos? Fuck 0%. Because I'm still going to be here covering Michigan and caring about what happens in Ann Arbor. So don't give me that negative on Harbaugh bullshit.
Yeah, it's not negative on Harbaugh. It's just looking at what he's doing and what's happening to the program and the players and the coaches around him because of this approach. And because he straight up lied.
Did not want Matt Campbell in 2020. What the hell are you talking about, Todd? What's going on here?
I was pretty high on Matt Campbell.
You were high on Matt Campbell, not me.
I would have taken Matt Campbell in 2020.
I told you straight up. I didn't like his face.
You don't like his face, yeah. And I know he's at Iowa State. I mean, like, give me a break, dude. That guy, like, they shouldn't win. They never win. They've never won. They've never been good at anything. He's never had a 4-star recruit at that program. Like, I still think, yes, I know it hasn't been very good for him since then, but at the time he was a hot name. I thought he would do a good job at Michigan, and maybe he would have. I don't know. I don't like. That's always been a funny thing to be like, you wanted this. I'm like, oh, okay, and like, what would have happened? What would his? Hey, Todd, give me Matt Campbell's exact record if he had taken the job at Michigan that year. You bum.
Guess what?
What do you mean? Nobody knows what
what
would have happened.
Guess what, Todd? Jim Harbaugh wanted Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, like, what are you talking about?
You know, what are we doing here?
So there's a lot of angles to this thing.
No, absolutely not. No PJ Fleck. That will never happen. I don't care where Jim Harbaugh goes. PJ Fleck can never, ever, ever be mentioned in the Michigan football coaching search. Sorry.
This list right here from Jordan Johnson is pretty damn solid. Okay. Todd Monken, OC from Georgia. I like that. I don't know if it's a cultural fit. I'm pretty sure he's a Southern guy, like, through and through. So you always wonder about that a little bit and how, like, big of a deal that is. Dave Aranda. Another good play. I like offensive guys too. I'm of that. I would want an offensive minded guy. Sharon Moore, dude. Shane Beamer, I like a lot about that guy, but like, he just feels like he should be at a place like South Carolina. You give him the keys to a Michigan, I feel like it's like the Beverly Hillbillies coming to town, dude. I don't know. I like him, but I don't know.
I'm sorry. That list, with all due respect, Jordan, that list is absolutely terrible. Here's my pick. Number 1, Tom Brady. Number 2, Charles Woodson. Number 3, if there's a way to resurrect Bo Schembechler with like modern day science, bring him back and have him be the coach. I mean, I've seen all those names listed as well. Maybe get all 3 of those guys back together and have it be head coach, OC, DC. Maybe that's what we need. Urban Meyer. There you go. There's another great one.
Okay. I'm very wrong. Todd Monken is from Illinois and actually used to coach at Eastern Michigan. So the Southern thing is not true there. I didn't think anybody could coach at Georgia unless you were from below the Mason-Dixon line, but whatever.
Please don't take the Tom Brady, Charles Woodson line seriously.
He was joking, right? Obviously. Okay. All right.
Fuck it, make Ben Herbert head coach. I don't give a shit.
Dave Aranda, where's he at right now? Is it LSU? No,
I
he's
do
the head
think you got to
coach
keep Ben
at
Herbert
Baylor.
at
That's
all
right.
costs. That's the other thing though. If you go and hire another coordinator from somewhere, I think you're losing Sharon Moore, and I don't want to lose Sharon Moore.
Yeah.
Sharon Moore has paid his dues. He's been with the University of Michigan. He's done great things with the players that he's coached. Why not give him the opportunity? You don't have to sign him to a long-term deal.
I had the
but
wrong
give him
guy.
a shot.
I was thinking Matt Canada when I read Dave Aranda, and he's a defensive coordinator. I'm all over them. See, that's what I'm talking about. I haven't done enough research yet. There are some guys. I know the names. I'm not there yet. I'm not Chris Briley for head coach. Hell, let me call the plays, dude.
Listen, I'll do it for $2 million. I'll do it for $2 million, and I won't ask for any more. Just give me $2 million.
Be pretty solid, dude. I just.
Can we just stop doing it?
This is not what should be at the forefront after the last 2 seasons of Michigan football. And it is.
They should be killing it on the recruiting trail, and Jim Harbaugh should be out front of this thing saying, I am not going anywhere. My goal, my job is to win a national championship at the University of Michigan. That's it. Take a page out of Juwan Howard's book. I'm not entertaining. I'm not looking. I'm not taking calls. I'm all in here. And yeah, whatever. Trying to negotiate a new contract, trying to get a new deal, whatever. It's hard to do that from a place where you clearly want to be at a place you want to be. But if Michigan respects him the way that they should pay him what he thinks he's worth. But either way, whosever fault it is, whatever side you stand on, at the end of the day, it's not good for the Michigan football program. And that's what I care about. What's best for the program, not this.
Couple random good things, too, as we approach an hour here, Chris. I don't know if you saw it in the comments, but David Ojabo, strip sack, first sack of his NFL career, lit up Joe Burrow. Lit up Joe Burrow, strapped the ball out. Ravens recovered, I think inside the 15-yard line. Nice big play for the Ravens there against the Bengals. And
he was just activated, a handful of weeks back?
Recent. Recent, coming off the Achilles injury, obviously. And for those of you who are interested in this kind of thing, we might be getting a return of Staquavius.
Oh, jeez. I mean,
let's look at the dude lining him up.
Fresh fade. Okay. All right. That's trouble for TCU.
And if so, this is Brooks Austin, buddy of mine. He runs the Georgia site, does a really good job. The picture surfaced of Stetson Bennett getting his haircut, and he said, Vegas just moved the line a full tutty just for the Staquavius look. So there you go. Thought that was pretty funny. But no, I'm excited to watch that game tomorrow. I know everybody's still bummed out. I saw a lot of friends and different people that that know what I do and at my son's birthday party yesterday, and it was a lot of talking about, damn it, dude, Michigan should be playing on Monday. And it just it does still feel that way for a lot of people, man. It really does. And I'm excited to watch the game. It's the national title game. Everybody will be tuned in, but sure would have been a lot of fun to see that winged helmet running around out there, man.
Real kick in the dick. Yeah. Who are you pulling for there? Are you pulling for TCU? I see a couple people in the comments going after TCU.
I think I am pulling for TCU. I actually don't really dislike Georgia. I like Stetson Bennett. I'm not a big fan of Kirby Smart, but I'm not a big fan of Sonny Dykes either. Both of them kind of rub me the wrong way for some reason. But I do like Max Duggan, the story there, and just kind of how he goes about his business. But I think Georgia probably walks away with it. I think they're gonna be way too much for TCU. But that's what I thought about Michigan too. But I do think the way that the game played out for TCU and Michigan was rare. And I think water will kind of find its level, and I think Georgia wins. But I would be pulling for TCU. Georgia, the way they recruit, and now they might, maybe you're talking about 2 titles in a row. I just don't like that for college football either. So I'll pull for TCU.
It's going to haunt me for a long time. Can anybody see this here? So the top there is where the ball was snapped. And the bottom picture is where that Philly special play took the ball.
Jesus. You got Colston Loveland running back at the 20-yard line.
At the 2-yard line to go up 7-0, 6-0, whatever. Yeah. And the play you draw up takes the ball back to the 19-yard line. 19 yards away on 4th and goal. I think that's going to haunt me for quite some time. I know it's only one play, but the fact that they couldn't punch it in, the fact that Donovan Edwards was caught from behind. I mean, nothing about any of that first drive made sense to me. And I think that was where, you couldn't give TCU life, and they gave them a lot of life on that first drive, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's There's multiple things in that game. Like we said, I wrote the article, the 5 fatal errors, the play calling a little bit here. So you bring Khalil Mullings in. Cool. He scored a bunch of touchdowns against Purdue. I get it. But you do it on the quick snap and you have him out of the 3-point stance, which we hadn't done all year. And it's like, why? Why there? Get Khalil Mullings up and push JJ into the end zone for an easy touchdown. Let your offensive linemen do what they do right
what
there.
You've done all year.
It's so frustrating.
Do that.
It's frustrating because I feel like we should be in LA right now getting ready for that game tomorrow.
Getting a suntan, have my swim trunks on in the pool. Just
have one of those SoFi
looks beautiful. I've heard you can't tailgate outside of SoFi. What's up with that?
Yeah, apparently they got, what's that guy's name who used to hold the thing under and tan like this? Super tan guy. Yeah, his name is George something. Somebody will have it. I don't know, man. I don't know why I know shit like that, but I don't know it well enough to call the guy's name out. So
CJ, I did see your question. I'm not sure when the apparel ships out. I've been pretty hands off on that. Full disclosure, I've been sick as shit for like the last week. Basically ever since I got back from Arizona. Now it's kind of running through my family. So
George Hamilton.
There we go. That's where I should be. I think it's going to go out soon. No, I'll try to provide an update whenever I can. But yeah, that should be us out there in LA. We should be out there, sunning our buns.
Wow.
Good, getting ready for SoFi on Monday. And instead, I'm in Michigan, sick as shit. It's overcast, wet, rainy, and I got to watch it on TV. I'm not happy about it.
My mom texted me from upstairs, Hamilton. I almost had a Chris Breiler-esque case of mistaken identity. I almost said George Burns, which would not have been the right guy. Not George Burns, George Hamilton. So, Chris, have you settled into sounding like Louis Armstrong and not Louis Anderson?
Well, it's finally passed through me, and now it's starting to go through some of the family. So yeah, I'm almost back to 100 here, and yeah, it's good because, man, I tell you what, I feel like my Arizona experience was not what a typical Arizona experience should be. Overcast, rainy, kind of cold. Like, I could see the potential of loving Arizona, but I just didn't get to enjoy it.
You got shortchanged a little bit.
I did. Yeah. I did. I missed all the beautiful weather.
Well, there you go. We'll start knowing some real shit tomorrow because the NFL.
Not a bad little Sunday show.
Oh, beautiful show. Beautiful show. The NFL season is over tonight. Go Lions. Go Rams. Put them Leos in the playoffs for one time.
That's right. Go Lions. There you go. There's your happiness. The Lions, they've got playoff hopes and dreams on the line tonight. Pull for the old Lions. Yeah, I'll even be watching. And if they win, goddammit, I'll jump on the bandwagon.
We've got plenty of room. Plenty of room over here to cheer for the Honolulu and blue. Honolulu, blue, and silver. Go Pack, go. Get out of here with that. What kind of name is that anyway?
What? Go Pack, go. There's some of those in the great Mitten State. There's a few of those around.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us on a Sunday afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Turnout too. A lot of people in here today for the show. Lots of comments.
They want to know what's happening. They want to know what's happening.
So there you go. We'll be back on Wednesday unless we need to be back earlier, which you never know. No man knows the future, Chris. We might be back tomorrow or Tuesday.
That's true. No man knows the future. Best of luck, Andrew.
All right. We'll talk to you guys on Wednesday. Probably. See ya.